Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Jamz with Joe, Shak and Sam, where we exchange the songs we've been listening to the most this week, and then we chat about them. So, let's jam.
My song this week is To Bid You Farewell by Opeth, off their 1996 album Morning Rise, one of their first albums, from the prog death metal, more prog now, but used to be more prog death.
Well, as far back then as well, it was kind of like prog black as well.
Yeah, with shit like Black Rose Immortal and all of that shit.
Yeah, definitely that song.
So the track opens with this acoustic guitar that kind of rises in volume before reaching this crescendo, which is signaled by the introduction of a second lead acoustic guitar and the rhythm section. And then for about the next 2 minutes of the track, we get treated to this large instrumental section in which the acoustic and bass guitars in particular take center stage, and like they kind of deviate from each other's sounds, but there are like moments throughout where they all kind of come together and merge to create this one very large sound. It's quite playful, really, and it creates a chilled, pleasant atmosphere. And then around the 2:45 mark, we get the first kind of real turn, both tonally and musically, for the track, in which the bass guitar and percussion become more pronounced and the atmosphere becomes a lot more kind of dour and sorrowful. And then it's after this change, Mikael's vocals are introduced, and I understand that Mikael's vocals, particularly when he does a clean delivery, are divisive to some listeners. Insert Anthony Fantano here. But I personally not only like Mikael as a vocalist, but I actually prefer his clean delivery overall. It's no different here in this track either, as he delivers this tried and tested narrative of a person questioning whether their love is in fact a genuine pursuit, or whether, as the track suggests, that they should in fact bid farewell to this lover. And I think the reason that this track is so effective at carrying this atmosphere is because the lyrics themselves are descriptive enough and sparse enough to allow the music to really speak for and carry the emotional weight of the song. We do get a heavy portion in the track, which mixes things up, giving a heavier, perhaps darker side of the narrative. Overall, it's a good example of why I like Opeth, this balance of heavy and kind of soft instrumentation, as well as attention to, but not so much a focus on, lyrics.
I feel like this song doesn't really encapsulate the kind of balance that Opeth usually create, just because it's very lopsided in their clean sound. It's not like something like Moonlap's Vertigo, where it's like kind of half and half. There's a tiny bit of the metal, but it's like 95% calm and clean. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Opeth. They were my favourite band for years. I don't know if I could call them my favourite band now, but they definitely were my favourite band for a long time. And this has always been one of my favourite songs by Opeth. They always do like a clean song on each album, but this is probably of all the like, you know, the one-off clean songs on all the albums, this is probably my number one, you know, ballady track. And the main reason, I think, biggest thing are the guitars in this song. The guitars throughout the intro are just very emotive. They have these really sharp notes when you can kind of hear the very hard kind of pull on the string, and those notes feel very reminiscent of like when a vocalist's voice kind of like cracks because of their emotional energy, and it's like the emotion in their voice is kind of obscuring their technique, which actually just fills the delivery with an authenticity. I get a similar feeling when you hear these really hard pulls on the string that has this kind of sharp effect. And those sharp notes, they really punctuate the guitar riff with these kind of peaks of feeling. And yeah, for me, honestly, nothing in this song tops the guitar intro for me. Like, it's just like perfection. Like, it's definitely one of my favorite guitar pieces ever. One thing I really love about the song is the murkiness of Ackerfeldt's vocal production here. I think sometimes, I still love a lot of Opeth, and I still love a lot of the stuff that's produced extremely cleanly. But sometimes I think Opeth could do with slightly more dirt in their production. They can be awfully clean even when they're doing their heavier stuff, and I think this song is kind of a testament to the fact that a slightly muddier sound does complement them. And I think this whole album is a testament to that as well, because it's a lot more. I guess my guess is they just didn't have as much money back then, or as good of equipment or stuff. But yeah, I really like how this album ended up sounding. A lot of the rest of the song is very Opeth. It's a great example of the potential for their clean sound, which is not being actualized in their more recent works. I feel like that's partially because here you can hear more of the folky roots with, the acoustic guitars obviously being so dominant, and the guitars telling their own stories, through the multitude of different riffs that they do throughout the song's length. I also feel it's partially because they seem to have a respect for the sanctity of the sparsity in the song. Their softer things now feel a lot more loud and dramatic and full. Songs like this and albums like Damnation seem to have a much more respect for the empty space that can kind of exist within a song, which I think is much better when trying to capture a mood, especially a mood of sadness, to kind of engineer emptiness in the way that they do here, and they do a lot on Damnation. So yeah, really great song. Definitely one of my favorite Opeth songs. Still is to this day. Has been for years now. Yeah, I love it.
I can't really disagree with anything you two have said. Although I don't agree with Sam in that. Well, it's not that I don't agree. It's just I have a different preference. I prefer his growled vocals to his clean vocals, personally. But that's not to say his vocals are bad at all, especially not on this song.
I feel like he's a good clean vocalist, but he is an amazing growler.
Yeah,
I'd say he's one of the best.
He sounds like an absolute beast, man.
Yeah,
but yeah. I like how warm and punchy the bass is in the introductory part, the acoustic long bit. Sounds nice. I like how understated the vocals are. It all sounds very distant, but also intimate at the same time because of how, like you said about the emotional guitar playing and the very defined plucking. It all sounds very intimate and like everything's happening live. I've got written down that the vocals almost sound like how people sometimes talk through two tin cans connected by a string.
Yeah.
That is the vibe I got. It just kind of sounds like how I would imagine that to sound.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite, because you often make the observation in other people's musics when, say, I think one was with Red House Painters, and you also said it with Sufjan Stevens as well. When they sing, they sound like their mouth is touching the mic.
Yeah.
And this is kind of an opposite to that in a sense. He sounds really far away when he's singing.
Yeah, I do sometimes pick up on that, I guess. But yeah, this is definitely, I feel, the opposite. There's the bit when it keeps repeating itself before the explosion into the electric bit as it builds, and it gave me an image of a tide washing out and then coming back in stronger and then going out gently again and then back in stronger until it finally breaks through. Because it does just build and build like that. And I also like the dual layered vocals when the electric bit comes in as well. There's the two vocal tracks playing over each other.
Yeah.
And then when he says, standing without a soul, and then there's that little whisper, that's the last you hear of the two voices. As if they've separated.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite cool. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like a really well put together song. I picked it because it's like been one of my favorites for ages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the sad and abrupt ending as well. I feel like it just goes really well with how I imagine his character is feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it puts across the emotions particularly well, as both of you have basically already said.
Yeah.
Yeah, just an amazing song. Amazing band.
Used to be.
Rip.
Lamoa.
TFW, you just want to wank off the 60s. Fucking Prague!
Stop it, Mikhail.
Mate, smell my Mellotron.
Make something that sounds like Opeth and not like things you listen to instead.
Some obscure Italian like jazz prog. Don't want it, mate.
It's not even it's not even worthy of that. Sort it out, Ackerfeld, sort it out.
But he doesn't even care. He just wants to make what he wants to make. He's had enough of Mel.
He can do what he wants, and people keep telling him it's shit, and he can keep pretending he doesn't hear him.
It's sad. It's definitely sad.
My track this week. Oh, my track this week. So I'll do a little backstory because I gotta give a shout out to the boy, the homie, the bro, Dan. Dan is my trap scout. There's a lot of shit in trap, but Dan is the guy who will find you all the good shit. He's on his scout. Basically all he ever listens to, so he's got the time to scout the genre. And he sends me shit all day, and he sends me some good shit, and this was one of the things he sent me, and he even made a point when he sent it me saying, yeah, I know I send you songs all day, but specifically listen to this one. He was right, because basically all three of us have been listening to this song quite a bit over the past few days. So it wasn't like our normal thing when it's like, here's a song, now you guys check it out. It's kind of like, well, this could have been any of our songs of the week, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But I just happened to be the one to pick it. It's a trap song, but it's not rap really. Well, it kind of is, but it's more R&B. It's a mixture of the kind of recent alternative R&B sound that's kind of been championed by like The Weeknd with trap rap, the kind of beats of trap. It's definitely a fusion of those two things. I'll leave it there. Thanks again, Dan.
I hadn't heard of Black Six Lack before this song.
Yeah, he's pretty small. He
dropped his first album last year, and
he has 9 million views, but that's not that much for seeing as trap is popping off so much. 9 million views is like average for someone with buzz. If you've got a bit of buzz, you'll probably be getting that. But if you've got tons of buzz, you'll be getting 20 million, 30 million, or Bad and Bougie has 200 million.
I like just the spooky, gloomy, brooding tone, even though it's kind of become a little bit well done at this point, with people like The Weeknd and Drake, and even vibes like Earl Sweatshirt and shit. Mm-hmm. It's been covered many, many times, but I don't think that kind of hip hop R&B with this amount of trap in it has ever appealed to me this much. Mm-hmm. I'm not usually big on trap, really. I mean, Bad and Bougie's a tune.
You guessed it.
You guessed it.
You guessed it. It's terrible. Right. It's terrible.
But I like the echoing vocal samples and that whistling, winding synth with the deep rumbling synth bass under it all, doing the bass line melody all the way through it. Just sounds sick. Black himself sounds sick. The flow is sick. The trap beat syncs up perfectly with everything he raps. It just sounds amazing.
He has the perfect voice for this song.
He does, yeah. He doesn't mumble, which is good. You can actually like
Make out.
yeah, you can actually get it. Like there are just so many like hooks and like catchy refrains and stuff in this song.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the catchiest thing I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, like the verse is catchy, the bridge is catchy, the chorus.
Why you do that? It's just
post chorus
so
is catchy. Every
Like-
vocal line is catchy in its own way.
like I'm never like waiting for the good bit. It's like
Yeah.
this song is the good bit, man. It's just sick. The lyrics are cool. Like it's interesting to hear things from this guy's point of view, even though like he likes to complain a lot, and it's just like preaching about how this girl's a bit useless, and just like he's done with it. And I thought it was cool that like on Genius he's like annotated the lyrics himself.
Yeah, some artists do that. They're like
That's
the verified lyrics. Yeah.
Like they like interviewed him and everything, which is
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, like I'm not sure if I prefer it to the less trappy kind of stuff like Earl Sweatshirt, Vince Staples, like which is also in that alternative vein of hip hop, but
Mhm.
like less trap.
Yeah.
I like the serious flows and the serious lyrics sometimes.
Mhm.
Even though like my favorite hip hop artist of the past, like as far as I can remember, is probably Danny Brown.
Yeah.
Not known for being super serious,
No.
but like then I hear something like this and it totally appeals to me. So it's nice to have something fresh because this isn't usually
It's not
coming
the kind
through
of
my
genre.
headphones.
Yeah, it's not the kind of genre you're like digging down deep.
No, yeah,
into.
like I'm not really big on Drake or The Weeknd or anyone like that.
Yeah.
So
It's definitely a genre that is being done to death. The alternative art.
it's
the
it's
moody.
super fashionable right now.
Yeah, moody R&B music, like really moody, like Frank Ocean as well. His new
Yeah,
album was
yeah,
very
yeah.
much in that vein.
I wasn't big on Blonde, to be honest.
Yeah, no, neither was I. Well, I really it's one of those albums that I was like, I respect this. I just don't really enjoy it that much.
Yeah,
But, like,
yeah.
it's one
I
of
know
those-
what it's trying to do. Like I'm sure it does it well. It's just like I feel like I felt like it just didn't really go anywhere. Songs felt like they were achieving the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just like sad boy hip hop. But yeah, tune. And the video's sick.
It is. That bad though. Just chilling. JC.
Yeah, man. This crazy thing is right next to him and he doesn't even care. Metaphors, artistry.
Bubble boom.
So yeah, like Joe, I really dug the instrumental. It was my favourite part of the track. It is like a 30-40 second loop on repeat, but Joe said there was synths. I thought they might have been like panpipes or something with effects on them that kind of rise and fall. They just sound really nice alongside the kind of quintessential bass and percussion of a trap track.
It's funny that you should call them panpipes because I did describe them as like whistling.
Yeah.
Like it does sound like something's blowing or something.
Yeah, a woodwind instrument or something.
Mm.
As for 6 Lack's delivery,
6 Lack.
I feel like this is one of the better kind of uses of mumble stylings I've heard in a while, and I mean that he's not mumbling in the same way someone like Young Thug would, but it's like a fine distinction in that he's taken influences from that, but his diction is clear. Like, I don't feel like I need to refer to genius for every other bar.
Yeah, I want to just push on that Young Thug influence aspect because I definitely think that this kind of approach to trap, where it's very much centered around very catchy vocal lines, you find lots of that in Young Thug. You know, like a lot of like he does lots and lots of catchy, bridges and catchy choruses and stuff
absolutely.
Harambe is a tune.
It is. Fuck Cancer is also great.
Man.
Nothing to do with cancer. It's just called fuck cancer for some unknown reason.
Is that off his latest? Wait, the one with Harambe on it?
No, fuck cancer was off Slime season 3, I think. I don't know. He releases like 10 mixtapes.
Yeah.
Is it Barter 9? Like, what's the one track? Is it Barter 9's the mixtape, isn't it?
Barter 6, you mean? Barter 6.
Barter 6. What's the track that I really like off it?
With that.
Yeah, With That is a banger.
Yeah, it's my favourite Thugger song, for sure.
But to get back towards the track, mumble stylings aside, it's a really chill flow. Complements the beat well. The kind of way that you'd expect for that kind of alternative R&B. The lyrics themselves, I thought they were decent. There are some really catchy hooks there. And I appreciate that he's highlighting the faults of not only this woman who he says wants the goddamn sky instead of being down to earth, but he's also kind of highlighting his own faults in terms of over-promising someone whilst he's under the influence of whatever.
I like how he asks himself, "Why you do that?" Like,
Yeah.
he's not just talking to her. He's being like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah, exactly.
Depressed boy.
It is a existentialist trap track. Yeah, it's a banging chill track, really. One of the better trap tracks I'm sure we'll see for the year. So yeah, go check it out.
I think there's a real pain in his voice that attracts the fuck out of me here. Like, he sounds genuinely like exhausted with the shit that he has to deal with.
Life.
Yeah, life. Yeah. He sounds so fed up of like women troubles, you know. I think everyone of both genders can relate to just feeling tired of the politics of relationships and all that shit. And I think that's why it just so quickly, like, you go into the comment sections and people are like, man, this just strikes so many chords in me right now. Just because it's just like, just everything about the tone. It's just like, yeah, man, like, it's just, even if it's like you're not specifically relating to his specific experience, the way it just tonally holds itself is very applicable, I think. I love the line, while you catch them feels, I'm a sip on this drink. It's easing my brain, because I love it. I love the way he kind of, he juxtaposes her catching feelings with him being like, whatever, I'm just going to drink. But then he says it's easing my brain. So at first it seems like it's all Gucci, but obviously when he says it's easing my brain, it's like, well, you know, that shows that he's got some serious feels too. It's just that they're different ones to the feels that she's going through. You know, it's less of a feeling of, wow, I'm so in love with this person, and more of a feeling of, I really fucking can't be arsed with all this shit anymore, you know? And I think that's interesting, it's kind of like this really cynical guy has been put into this position where he has to kind of entertain the whims and the motions of just a regular person who doesn't really think that much about things. And, you know, he's kind of got himself into this position where he's in a relationship with this person, be it like, you know, like a serious or not relationship. It's still like a relationship with this person. He's, you know, he can't turn off his cynicism. He's just like, oh my God, why you do this? Why you do that? Why are you doing these things, man?
I think in the notes on the Genius thing, he like put like, he prides himself on like ditching crazy people, like as like he just doesn't associate with fucking crazy bitches.
Yeah, and then eventually got into a situation where that was the case, and that basically led him to write.
And then he was just like, nah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, it's like,
yeah,
definitely gets that across. Yeah.
I pride myself on not dealing with crazy people. So the minute something soap opera like happens, where they just do something super dramatic, I just wake up like, yo, I gotta go.
I definitely respect that to the fullest.
It's a life lesson that I've got to heed.
Basically, echoing what you guys said, that the really discordant, dissonant, echoing sound that howls throughout the song, whether it's a synth or the panpipes or whatever. I like the way it never quite feels contained within the bars. It kind of bleeds between each one, And the way, again, it's combined with that choppy vocal sample that kind of yaps in the kind of disorientating way. Yet one hell of a beat, it's definitely a highlight of the track. And again, I think the power of the beat just adds to how successfully he manages to achieve this atmosphere of just total tiresomeness, these situations, and it's even to the point of wanting to just like you just said, disassociate from it completely. And there's definitely a disassociation feeling with this track. Yeah, I think the reason why I've been rinsing this song and this album so much of late is because of how much it just seems to strike a chord with me, like it's just that general detesting of these kind of stupid things, and these kind of emotions and being forced into positions when you have to entertain this kind of stuff. It's just like, I don't know, he seems to get it across so potently that you just kind of can't help but keep coming back to it, I think. So I think it's definitely an emotional achievement before anything else, I would say, in just being able to capture a tone or a mood, an emotion. It's a mood music, but I don't know, it just feels more successful than, like, I've listened to quite a bit of Weeknd, and he goes for kind of the same thing, except it's a bit more woe is me. And I listen to loads of Drake, and Drake is kind of different in that he's a bit more lovey-dovey, or he can be at least. I don't know. I feel like this kind of moody R&B. I don't know. I just think he's captured it better, and I think the reason why is because it's kind of rooted in this cynicism, which relates to me a lot more than the Weeknd's kind of like, oh man, why have I got all these bitches? How can I choose between my 100 bitches? Which is like, how do I choose between doing all these drugs and having sex with women? That's basically his lyrics, and it's like, okay, like, cool,
guy.
And then Drake is like, it's just kind of like he's like someone writing love songs, but in rap instead of just in your average, ballad. So, like, I really like the cynical angle on this whole moodiness and this alternative R&B thing. Definitely chimes with me.
Yeah, it's nice to hear someone being more than sad and just being like they're actually doing something about it. Is that he's actually just like he's sick of it rather than just like sad of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's actually like had enough by. Rather than just, you used to call me on myself.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
It's like, don't fucking call me.
So, last week, Lorde dropped her return single, Green Light. And I was a fan of Lorde's debut, Pure Heroin, which released almost 4 years ago now. And I was left wanting after listening to Green Light. It's not very good. Spoilers. So, I revisited her debut album after that, and I think it's aged quite well. And Team is one of the better tracks on the album, in my opinion. And yeah, that's it.
One element of the song that I do find really interesting is in that there's a lot in it that feels throwback, but then there's something about it that feels really 2010s as well. So, like, there's like the dance drum beat with like the clap and shit like that, and that feels very old. It feels almost kind of Queen-esque. And then there's like the synth that comes in the chorus, which again feels a bit like the kind of 80s synthy new wave kind of synth. But then the vocals, they feel like they really remind me of so many other 2010s female vocalists.
Yeah.
None of which I can name, because it just feels like I've heard this same kind of vocal style.
It's like
so
Ed
much
Sheeran
over the past few years. Yeah, but like a woman.
Yeah.
And I can imagine, it's the kind of song I can imagine, getting like a Kygo remix, It's such a fashionable vocal tone, this is. Like, she feels like her voice feels so fashionable, so now, even though you have these little elements of retro in there. And some of the lyrics are kind of interestingly cryptic in a way. It seems like some kind of exploration of like party life. in some capacity, but there's a lot of weird imagery that goes along with that kind of makes me question exactly what's going on, what she's talking about. I know it seemed quite unclear, which I kind of liked. But yeah, other than those things, I don't really find it particularly special. And I guess it's kind of rooted in what I said. The same kind of thing that made it somewhat interesting is that none of the sounds sound fresh at all. Like, it either feels like a mixture of recycled old melodies and beats, or very rehashed present day vocals that I hear all the time. You know, it's not really doing anything new with the old stuff, and it's very much a product of its time in Lorde's vocals. This is my first Lorde track. I've never listened to Lorde before. I know her name because of South Park, and that's basically it. Yeah, there's definitely nothing here that really gets me excited. There's not really much that gets me emotion either, except in the chorus when she delivers the line, "We sure know how to run things." Her voice depresses and flattens in this way that sounds quite powerful in a kind of a negative value kind of way. Like, it's kind of powerful in what it's not doing. In just that one line, that's the only line that kind of emotionally rises something from me. Other than that, I didn't find it very emotive. It's also not super memorable, in my opinion. I couldn't really sing you the chorus, even though I listened to it like 3 or 4 times just like an hour ago. The main synth in the verses, it just feels very straightforward, kind of rising and falling note. Yeah, I just think there's a kind of lack of specialness, really, a lack of flair in the song. It's not bad. It's just kind of like, I don't know. There's nothing really more than average.
Yeah,
So.
I definitely agree. To mirror almost exactly what you just said, I've got written down that it is like pretty like standard, kind of forgettable, and like I don't see how this could like ever be anyone's favorite song ever. Like, and like I don't see the point in listening to a song if it's not lovable. Like if it just doesn't evoke anything. It's like it's so low impact. It's so like it just like brushes off you. It's like, oh, that was a song.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's close to being filler. Not that I've heard the album. The only song I've heard from Lorde before is Royals. And back when that came out, that was relatively that was kind of catchy and kind of fresh sounding when that came out. But like, legit, who thought about Lorde like since then?
Except South Park.
Except South Park and like people that heard that new song that she dropped.
Yeah.
Like,
I think low impact is a really interesting way of describing it.
Yeah, like it's just like it's like getting punched by like a feather, and then you just like, oh, what did I just get punched? I didn't think I did. Because it's just it's just so low impact. Like the chorus, like you said, the chorus, I remember it was decently catchy, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Like it sounds. I remember it sounding like, oh yeah, serviceable, nice-ish.
Yeah.
And I thought the same about you were saying about the synths in the verse.
Uh-huh.
Like they were all right. Like they're nice, like kind of soft, synthy beams of light as like the main melody at that part. But like I don't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't want to go back and hear it again, really, either. I don't want to refresh it in my brain because it's like, I feel like if it was good enough for me to go back, I would remember it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's not a crap song.
Definitely not. No,
it's not bad. But it's just like, I almost wish it was bad, because then it'd be like, then it'd at least be like somewhere other than like in the bin of forgettables. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of move it away from as middle of the road. Like really bad stuff is usually not middle of the road. It's usually had to do something to make it.
Yeah, that makes it memorable at least.
Yeah,
a lot of the time anyway. Like it sounds like I'm slating it, but like I'm not. Like I'm paying it the respect that it's like it's catchy enough, and like I'm pretty sure I didn't dislike anything about it other than like that lame ass clap beat.
Yeah.
I thought that sounded kind of like high school, like party, like.
I think it's very hard to sell me a clap in a song, a clap beat. Like if you want to put that in your song, then it's gonna have to be a fucking incredible song because that shit just annoys me. You know, in hip hop they do it all the time as well. And it just sounds fucking lame.
Cheesy, man.
Yeah, it's so
yeah. Like the way her impact fell off. But after releasing Royals and everything, reminds me of Gautier. Remember, with Somebody That I Used to Know. Except like that song was like infinitely better than Royals. The song's fucking amazing, but like no one's listened to it for like years now, and like I don't know if Lorde is.
Wait, I know Royals. Okay, this wasn't my first Lorde song. I definitely know Royals. Yeah. I really don't like that song actually. So the one benefit I can give this is that I definitely prefer it to Royals because that song really pissed me off when it came out.
It doesn't piss me off. I remember like being relatively fond.
It's the ones like "And We'll Never Be Wrong."
Yeah. That's what Lorde is known for, and nothing else.
I definitely know that song, and I'm definitely personally not a fan at all.
Like it's just like. I don't feel like anyone's ever going to revisit this song unless, like, this is the only CD they've got in their car.
Potent image.
You know what I mean, though? Like, it's the only thing I've got on my iPod, so...
I know what you mean.
So, David Bowie, rest in peace, described Lorde as the future of music, according to his longtime pianist, Mike Garson. And
disclaimer, David Bowie had crazy opinions on things.
I'm pretty sure, like, regardless of what we think of Lorde, we can all agree that is a pretty premature statement, given that she's largely unproven in terms of a continuing artist.
She had one hit.
Yeah.
David Bowie has weird opinions, man. He said some strange things. For sure.
You've compared her to Ed Sheeran, which I personally think is a very unflattering comparison.
Only in that, like, it's something that people try to emulate.
I was about to say, like, I would say personally that Ed Sheeran has far more uniqueness. I mean, like, Ed Sheeran is the kind of person who gets emulated, whereas Lorde sounds like she's emulating someone. I'd say.
And I guess you could say they're similar in that, at least in my view, that they're these kind of pop artists which at the time, so like when Ed Sheeran first dropped and when Lorde's first album first dropped, it was this kind of move away from this kind of bombastic, like, clap your hands style of pop music where it's literally the theme is just party, party, party. Now we get these kind of slightly more conscious pop tracks, and it's the same with Royals and this, in that it's tackling something which, like, we have this perception of a particular thing. Like in this case, it's about parties, and we're trying to deconstruct it. So, like, it's not that we're partying. It's more important that we're together. Like we're part of a team or whatever. And it is kind of cheesy when you break it down like that, but I think there's some genuine belief in that notion coming through on Lorde's vocals, which I do really like. I don't think it's fair to say that she's, like, so similar to other modern pop acts that she's indistinguishable. Like, there is something, I can't quite put my finger, but there is something about her delivery or about her tone or style or something in her vocals which is distinct, at least to me. I
really don't hear it, honestly. Like, I feel like I hear this voice so many times in, like, all the hipster kind of edgy dance pop music.
Hmm.
I hear this. It's almost the same kind of vein as Lana Del Rey. It's almost. It's not. It's not as raspy and moody as Lana Del Rey, but it's that same kind of hipster vocalist. I don't know. I just feel like I hear it. Like like I said with the Kygo remix. If you the kind of things that Kygo remixes are like women like songs like My Head Is a Jungle and like LaRue. And like I can think of so many women who I feel is just not like the same, but it's just like I say, it just feels very trendy. It feels very 2010s. This voice does.
They all serve the same purpose.
Yeah, it's just very. I think the person who kind of started this kind of edgy female vocalist thing is like Amy Winehouse. Like she very much like. I feel like she was the beginning of this trend, or around the beginnings of this trend.
Maybe.
It's because you can really hear Lana Del Rey, obviously. You can really hear Amy Winehouse in like Lana Del Rey, obviously, and she was the first kind of really kind of edgy pop star that we had when she first came out, compared to it appealed to hipsters because it was a bit jazzy and stuff, and then she died tragically, and
that's the thing, she had actual edge, not this fake edge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean when she was kind of like the authentic beginning to what became a trend, I feel.
But the album as a whole, I think, is one of the better modern pop outputs. I don't rate Ed Sheeran. He's not great. He just sounds like a pub singer. Like a young, upstart pub singer.
Yeah, he sounds like a pub singer. But he's definitely kind of like... He's basically like made he's basically fashioned his uniqueness.
He is like
the
person you think of when you say pub singer.
But is that because everyone that sings in pubs tries to emulate him now?
No, I feel like
I feel like it is.
No.
I feel like it's this whole because he doesn't sound like an average pub singer from like back in the day. He doesn't sound like pub rock. He sounds nothing like a pub rock vocalist. The only kind of pub voicey person I think of who kind of reminds me of him is like Alex Turner from Arctic Monkeys, just because they want to rock that working class voice, like clearly.
They all do now.
Yeah,
every guy with the same haircut and like a checkered top and an acoustic guitar who can like whisper a little bit into a mic thinks he's Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, perhaps you could say they were the originators of this trend, but it's not endearing enough of a quality for me to really care anymore. Like it hasn't aged well.
I wouldn't say originator, but I just think like I don't think he's bog standard pub rock, or something like that. I feel like there was like when I first heard Ed Sheeran and he did that SBTV "You Need Me, I Don't Need You" thing, which was just like amazing, and it was the best thing he ever did, and it was before he even released his first album or his first single, and it was a version of his "You Need Me, I Don't Need You" song that he did on SBTV, and it was kind of like mixed up with like reggae songs and like in the club with 50 Cent. Yeah, and it was really good. And it was like, this guy is like super. I remember hearing him before he was big at all, and I was like, this guy is super unique. Like, this guy could go places because he's definitely got his own thing.
Well, he used to play in pubs around us.
He did.
Yeah, he played in the Hare and Hounds, only a few years ago now.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for listening. If you guys listen to the songs, what did you think of them? What have you been listening to lately? Please let us know. If you want to check out the playlist that contains all of the weekly selections, if you want to check out the playlist that contains all of our weekly selections since the first time we did this, and also if you want to listen to the tracks that we discussed today, link to all those things will be in the description below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Yes, that big, long, red button.
Big!
Video.
Red. Slap
that shit. Give us the big thumbs up. and share this video on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram. Share it on your fucking everything.
Share it with your nan.
Exactly. Put it on.